Hello there, good morning and welcome to today's daily edition of Claret and Booze Daily Ramble. Daily Ramble? Daily Ramble. My name's John and as I said, welcome to Claret and Booze. Before I get started, if you like the show today, then please give it a thumbs up. It helps us out massively and it gets Nick off my back because he's always moaning about the lack of thumbs up. So let's not let him moan. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then please do so. Claret and Booze channel on YouTube. And if you do that and hit the bell notification, you will be advised as and when we go live or we upload any videos as in today's. So it is January the 24th, only 7 days away till the January transfer window closes shut. Do West Ham need to buy any players? Probably so. Will we? I'm not so sure. Maybe some loans coming in. However, one situation that we know has maybe put us back in the shop window for another striker is the unfortunate injury to this man, Danny Ings. Now, I know it's been all over the news in the recent 24 hours, but we haven't spoken about it since we came off air on Sunday. The news broke yesterday that Danny Ings, after just 18 minutes of competitive football for West Ham United, has picked up an injury. Now, the good news is that it's allegedly only an impact injury, so we'll only keep him out for a few weeks. So he'll miss a couple of games that we probably don't have much hope of winning to some extent anyway, if you like. And he could be coming back at a time when we're coming up against teams where we have more of an opportunity to pick up 3 points. One of the games is the Derby County FA Cup game, which he wouldn't have been able to have played anyway because he is in fact cup tied now. A lot of people were going, I told you so, I knew he'd get injured. This allegedly, and the information we've got is that this is not a reoccurrence of an old injury. This is an impact injury, it can happen at any time. It's just unfortunate that it happened on his debut for West Ham. I mean, you couldn't write it, you couldn't script it. I mean, it always seems to be us, you know. We do, whether you like it or not, we do have awful bad luck with things like this. I mean, it's a little bit different, you know, when we bought Jack Wilshere, the ex-Arsenal player, you know, he had lots of injuries and we didn't see the best of him either. But with Danny Ings, you know, since he's been at Villa, he hasn't had any injuries, I believe. I've had a little dig around. I can't see that he's missed any games through injuries. He played a lot under Gerrard, not so much this season under Emery, just because Emery doesn't fancy him as much. But he has played around 1,100 minutes of first-team football this season for Villa. And after 18 minutes playing for us, he's decided to pick up his injury. So, look, it's not great. It's not a great start. The good thing is it's only a short-term injury. It's an impact injury. And hopefully he can be coming back at a time when we have more chance of winning, i.e. Forest, etc. Now, does that put West Ham back in the shop window for a striker? Probably, because that only leaves us with Antonio, really, unless one of the youngsters is going to be promoted to the first team squad, which, as we know, Mr. Moyes doesn't often do. So he's more inclined to be chasing around after this guy, Tarim Moffi, who plays for Lorient in France, not to be mistaken with Leighton Orient, who my son plays for. Nigerian international player who we've been chasing, you know, all of this window, all of January. And as we know, Moyes loves chasing players that don't want to come to us. And it would seem that this transfer is possibly not going to happen if you believe rumours to be true. It would seem that Moffi doesn't want to move to a team in the bottom half of the Premier League, allegedly. Now, it's a little bit short-sighted on his part to some extent to think that he is better than West Ham United. Yeah, I admire his optimism. I admire his arrogance, if that's the right phrase, or confidence. But if he doesn't want to come, then Mr. Moyes, don't keep chasing him. Let's move on. Let's try and get someone who, in my opinion, is more ready-made to British football and or the Premier League. You know, why not go for Brereton Diaz from Blackburn? You pick him up for cheap and chips price as well. Let's not waste time the next week chasing Moffi around the table, trying to get him in. You know, it does become infuriating, you know, after a while. It would seem that a striker is what we're after then, but also are we after a centre-half? As we know, Mr. Legend or cult hero Craig Dawson signed for Wolverhampton Wanderers at the weekend in a 3.3 million pound deal. He'll be badly missed. Of course he will. And now I think we're probably looking for another centre half. We've got Maguire, we do have Ogbonna, and we have Zuma. And I know it's only Everton, so people are going to say, oh, it's only Everton. But I like the look of a back three when you have three proper centre-backs. And Ogbonna, we didn't expect him to be playing again after his injury last season, but he's now become important. And I'm not sure at 34, 35 years of age, whatever he is, that he'll be able to do it week in, week out. Although he did look very good at the weekend against Everton. And yes, we know his pace is lacking, but with two quickish centre-backs besides him, namely Maguire and Zuma, they can cover him if he plays in the middle of the three centre-backs. However, I think we are looking for another centre-back. Options are many. There's a lot of players out there. And if you believe the rumours to be true, one of those players is Everton centre-back Michael Keane. Now, the thing is with Michael Keane is that Frank Lampard hasn't really fancied him this season. He's left him out in the cold somewhat. And even though Everton have been losing game after game and conceding goals, he hasn't brought Keane in to change the centre-back partnership that he had with Connor Cody and Tarkowski. Now, whether they've got personal problems with Lampard and Keane, I'm not sure. But as we know, Keane, when he was at Burnley, was on the verge of England squad, was being talked about as a possible England player. And David Moyes' links to Everton. Could Keane be someone that we go in for? Now, he may see the Lampard sacking as his opportunity to stake a claim and start afresh at Everton. Or we may be able to nick him and get him on loan until the end of the season. Let me know what you think about Michael Keane. But if I had my choice of short-term fixes, a centre-back to bring in, and I know I'm going to get shouted down at this because, wherever you go, Harry Maguire, people disagree about him. Now, I think that with Harry Maguire, if you play him as a centre-back in a free, in the middle, i.e. as Ogbonna was at the weekend, and you've got pace either side of him, I think he does a good job. He heads everything. He kicks everything. He's a bit of a throwback. He's very similar to Craig Dawson in some ways, and I mean that totally respectfully, but he can play. He can play the ball out. He's not bad at that. And he does very, very well for England. Just because he's not performing or hasn't performed for Man United in recent times doesn't mean he's suddenly not a good player. And if you look at the Man United situation, before Casemiro came in and sat in front of the back four, Maguire was shocking, the defence was shocking. Casemiro's come in and he's helped the back four defensively shut up shop. However, I don't believe Ten Hag fancies him. Purely because if you even think about it, recently he's been playing Luke Shaw on a couple of occasions. Luke Shaw played at centre-back. So to me, that would say a lot for the way that Ten Hag views Harry Maguire at Man United. I definitely would go for Harry Maguire. I've got no problem with him. I think he'll do well at the club. And to bring him in on loan, I think it's a no-brainer. But whether Man United are willing to sell him on loan or to put him out on loan, that begs another question. Now, another player that's come to my attention is this player, 18-year-old midfielder from Birmingham City by the name of George Hall. I was listening to Troy Deeney on Talk Sport, and Troy Deeney obviously plays for Birmingham City, and he has recommended George Hall to a few clubs in the Premier League, and in particular to Nobes, as he referred to him, or Mark Noble, about George Hall being a potential Premier League player and put him on the radar to us and other clubs. He's played 20-odd games for Birmingham City's first team. He's only 18 years of age. As we know, Birmingham City have produced some great youngsters in recent years, namely Jude Bellingham, and Jude Bellingham's brother is meant to be another one coming through the ranks shortly. But George Hall could potentially be a player that we either go for now or maybe, possibly, more than likely, leave until the summer months. At 18 years of age, one for the future, most definitely. He's not really going to come in now and do much, probably. So you're better off going to look at him back in the summer transfer window. So we've spoken about a few transfers coming in now. Strikers, defenders. This guy, George Hall, don't know if you know much about him. I didn't, but I've done a bit of digging after listening to Troy Deeney, as I said. Let me know what you think. Let me know where you think we need to strengthen. I think it's fairly obvious. We crave those young, nippy wing backs. I don't think we're going to be seeing any of that in this window, especially just the time of year it is, and we probably have more needs elsewhere on the pitch. Maybe loans are more obvious than actual buys. Now, we know that the 2-0 win against Everton at the weekend was good for the club. It wasn't a fantastic performance, but it got this man back in the goals, Jared Bowen. Now, Bowen has suggested that his form this season could be down to the fact that he was in the England squad. Now, as we know, Bowen had a few caps in and around the summer months before the season started for England because he had such a fantastic season last season for us. But Bowen has said that the pressure, the anxiety about getting in the World Cup squad, performances that he had to achieve to get in that squad put him under pressure, and pressure that he probably couldn't handle. Which would explain a lot, because as we know this season, Bowen has been particularly poor. And with this admission, I do hope that Bowen and his form return to what we know they can be. And hopefully the Everton game, 2 goals, two good finishes, 2 close-range poacher goals. Hopefully we can see a return to form for Jared Bowen, a return to form that is much needed for him and indeed the club to pull away from the relegation zone. And the last thing I want to talk about is this man, Declan Rice. Now, Declan Rice, as we know, he's been a fantastic servant for the club. He's been heroic at times for West Ham United. He's been getting a few penalties this season for little things he may have said and done and reactions on the pitch. I get that. But, like anybody, frustrations can boil over. And sometimes we all say things that we shouldn't have said. But apparently now Arsenal are in pole position to go for Declan Rice. They see Rice as the next piece of their jigsaw. Arteta apparently sees him as the next step forward for Arsenal Football Club. Fabrizio Romano has actually revealed that secret talks or secret meetings have been happening internally at Arsenal, discussing the potential of picking up Rice in the summer. Now, a lot of people, we've been talking on WhatsApp today, a lot of people have been suggesting that if Arsenal came in with an offer now of 100+ million, would West Ham be able to turn it down? Now, it's a lot of money, of course, but our relegation fight is worth far more, and our Premier League survival is worth far more financially than selling Declan Rice. And I myself don't believe that Declan Rice would jump ship in January, especially when he knows the club that, let's be honest, in some ways rebuilt his career after his release from Chelsea, is on the verge of relegation, which we are. We are fighting relegation. The win at the weekend hopefully will be a catalyst. But let's be honest, if Declan Rice left to go in January or left West Ham now at this time, his reputation with the fans would be tainted massively. So for me, it's a possibility for him to go there in the summer, not in January. So let's not worry about that. Declan Rice is here to stay and help us gain, and keep our Premier League status. So, not for me. So that was my very quick daily ramble. I do hope you like it. Any comments, leave them in the comments box. I'll reply to as many as I can. If you like my new Christmas jumper, then please let me know, and I'll let you know where you can buy it. But as I said, thank you for watching. We will be doing a couple more daily rambles throughout this week, i.e. from Nick and Gary, I believe, at some point. Look out for our live shows. Of course, if there's any breaking news that we can possibly get to you and even get online to record a video or go live, we'll do that as well. But as you know, we all work, so sometimes we struggle getting on to get the information out to you as quickly as we can. But I hope you appreciate that. So anyway, please like this ramble. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and let's keep fighting. West Ham United, we've got to survive. Come on, you Irons!